Good enthusiasm for noon. I like it.
Yeah, woo!
I just look at myself. So everyone, welcome to the Walking Dead panel. Thank you. I'm going to be moderating this channel for you. And first, a warning. Spoiler alert, of course, if you haven't played the game yet, or if you're only a little bit ahead. I still haven't played season 2 yet, so this one's going to be new to me, but fair warning, you may be spoiled. And we have our cast. Voice actors, hello everyone.
Hello.
We can just go down the line and do some introductions, do some quick voices.
I'm Owen Thomas, I'm the voice of Omid.
I'm Cissy Jones. I probably the one everyone knows is Katya, but I also did Braa, Jolene, Shell, and Dee.
Wow. This is on the hook. My name is Melissa Hutchison, and I am Clementine. Oh, this doesn't hear. This is. I'm gonna. Oh.
Hi, I'm Nicki Rapp. I was Lily.
Although you would never know that. I'm Nicole Vigil, and I voice Carly.
I'm Erik Braa. I am Danny. 400A.
Oh yeah, we have another mic. We have another mic, people.
I'm Rashida, Clendening, and I'm Tavia.
I'm Kourouklis, and I'm Hershal Green.
I'm Gavin, Hammon, and I'm Kenny.
Said with such enthusiasm.
Now the first question, will Kenny return? And we still have Brian Sommer and Adam Harrington are over there.
St.John have everyone on stage because otherwise it would just collapse upon itself.
I guess they don't allow cannibals on the stage.
I was going to keep you... Actually, if you could just move over another seat just so you can get a nice buffer so the candles don't eat you.
Oh no, you're moving closer.
Right. And now they're sliding over. Where you going? You look like some tender meat.
So I think first off, if we can start with just the whole audition process for the game, because Walking Dead, it's got a pretty good history to it, and a game like this is something a little bit, I would say a little bit different for the series and new and nice and refreshing. So did any of you through the process have any difficulties, or did you have any prior knowledge of The Walking Dead?
I guess I'll start.
Yes.
It's over here. What was the question?
What was the audition like, and what did you know about The Walking Dead before going into it?
Personally, I hadn't yet read the comics, but I was already a fan of the show. The show was, I think, season 1 had just wrapped of the show. So when we got these auditions, I was just like, oh man, this is too cool to see The Walking Dead, to have Telltale doing The Walking Dead. And I'd done a bunch of games with them before, and they're so awesome to work with, and it was just one of those projects though where when we got the auditions for it, it was kind of one of those oh man, I really want on this game. And I don't know, I was pretty excited. How about you guys?
I have to say,
yeah.
So I've done a bunch of auditions before for female characters in video games. I don't know if you guys know this, but most females in video games, they're kind of two-dimensional. Giant boobs, tiny waist, that's it. So here I did this audition for this kind of frumpy, later 30s Belgian woman, and I was like, dudes? And to have them, these beautifully fleshed out characters and not caricatures, was amazing.
Yeah.
And
That's what you said was really awesome.
I will piggyback upon that. In my process, I didn't know a lot about the game or the TV show. And I got the script and was reading for 2 characters, and I figured, well, I'll probably get cast for the African-American character. That tends to happen. It's not a bad thing at all. But as I was reading for both of them, I cried. I was so touched by the writing and the heart and energy that went into this, and was thrilled when I got cast.
Yeah, in the same way, when you saw the auditions, and a lot of us will do these auditions from home, get the scripts emailed, and we have home recording setups. The stakes were clearly very different from the audition copy here. Usually, people who compose games, they aren't so careful to put you right in the meat of a crisis in the scene, and that's something that Telltale was very adroit about doing. They gave you some really meaty parts to audition. And so I too was able to go in there without much knowledge of the show or the graphic novel, but there was just so much grist for the mill on that page that you could make something out of it in very short order. Yeah.
I'll stand up so you can see me.
It's like playing Twister.
I know, yeah,
totally. There's almost more of us up here than there are.
We're gonna be in like a pyramid in like 10 minutes. It's gonna be awesome.
If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, that is totally not the case. Just so you know.
I know that when I got the audition for The Walking Dead, and I had auditioned, I remember auditioning for Lily and Carly, and I'm really glad with the way they cast it, because Nicki was awesome as Lily. But I remember thinking that The Walking Dead was really exciting, but I don't think any of us really had any kind of idea how huge the game was going to become, and going on to the Spike TV, and Miss Hutchison winning Best Female Voice. And our game winning Game of the Year. So I think we were all totally caught off guard by that. And it was really awesome.
Yeah, just one thing I was going to add is the process with Telltale. Often you audition for something once, and then you either see it come back 4, 5, 10 times. 17. Sometimes you never do. Sometimes you just read it, and then you never know what to expect. But there was such an emotional range with that packet. They always have tons of information, tons of references to people they're sort of seeing in the character. And they really do in the audition packet cover a range of stuff. So it's like a wonderful opportunity for us to really kind of grist for the mill. That sums it up best.
I was just going to say that for me, I mean, when I saw the scripts, I knew it was something different. But then I think for me, when I realized it was really something different, when I started getting emails and then saw like the YouTube of people playing the game, and when you guys had your little incident, just watching people's reaction to that was amazing.
You can
people
say
flipping out, yelling, crying.
She
awesome.
shot her.
Just randomly.
Yeah, if you haven't played season 1, come on.
A bit of trivia with that, actually. The that video that's going around on YouTube of the fan reaction when Nicki here shoots me in the face. No, I'm afraid it wasn't just a flash woman, unfortunately. But and there was a fan reaction. That actually was my husband that put that together originally.
Yeah, that's right.
Who, by the way, check out his shirt. He's wearing "I Saved Carly, Bitches." So, just a little bit of trivia on that.
I love Walking Dead, and I'm current. I just finished 120. So for me, I was super excited, and honestly, I was in 400 days, so season 1 had kind of already been in the make, so I was just stoked to be a part of it.
And we'll get to the whole people shooting other people later. But a lot of mention about emotion and everything. These are not your atypical video game characters. This is not your typical game story. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of emotion. Did any of you approach the game differently after seeing the script, after realizing that this is not the usual project I'm used to?
Well, this is because of the episodic nature of this game, and it's just so dialogue rich. Obviously, it's not just like, short death, medium death, long death, wield your sword. I mean, which was totally fun and awesome, but this was like, you saw this and it was immediately like...
More like an on-camera.
Yeah, it's like being in an animated series more so. And the writers at Telltale are like stupidly talented people. It's insane, like how talented these writers are, and they give us such amazing. I mean, as for playing a little girl, you know, the way they wrote her, they had to be very careful with that because she could have come off annoying, and that would have killed it. It wouldn't have. No one would have been okay with that. So, just getting into the emotion. Honestly, the writers really did a lot of that work because they laid it out so well for us. And kind of in the first season, you're feeling it out, you're getting into your character, and then by the 5th episode, whoever made it to the 5th episode, by that time you're already like, I mean, just when I went in to record the scene between Lee and I, by that time, I mean, I was already basically preparing for that from the minute I stepped into the studio to record the first episode. The bonds between the characters and the development was just, it was insane how, like, for us as voice actors, I can honestly say it was like one of the best acting experiences of my life. And it still is, thankfully, at the moment, fingers crossed. People ask me, like, what do you want from your, you know, what do you want for Clementine, what do you want for your character? And I'm like, I just want her to live. I don't want her to be killed there. But I don't know, I just have to give it to the writers on that, because
just want to live.
they gave us so much awesome stuff. They gave us stuff to work with.
One of the things that I loved was getting to switch from Katya, who's this wonderful, loving, caring mother, wife, person, to Jolene in the same recording episode. And Jolene's crazy. She's crazy. And they gave me this whole backstory about Jolene, and like, we don't just want her crazy, we want her crazy for a reason. Like, these bastard cannibals like stole her daughter and sold her into, you know, child prostitution and all this craziness. What? You never even see in the game.
I know.
So when
I didn't get that backstory.
Confronts these guys, and you know, she's yelling, "I know who you are. I know what you do." There's so much behind that you as the players never even see, but that's what they give us as the actors to go in with. And again, like, coming from other video games where it's we fight together, you know. To go from that to depth is just really outstanding.
I was going to say, we keep mentioning other video games, and a lot of them, I will say, for especially like things where there's combat or something, the script says something like death emotes or something, and they're like, just give us a series, and it's like, I kid you not, really.
Death screams are a combination between sex and poop.
Yeah, it's kind of obscene, actually. Yeah.
Oh, somebody write that down.
I don't want to end this question on that.
Why not?
Anyone else?
That's the name of my new hit single.
Anyone else about how this was different from other projects, or the emotion involved?
No, sure. Okay. I go through a decent amount of emotion. Yeah, I basically went into every session saying, so, how do I die? And you're like, oh, you don't? Oh, okay. But your wife and your kid do. So, just the range of stuff that we had to come up with. And we never knew going into it, and having like it be an episodic game and having the pleasure of being able to, you know, be in all 5 parts of the first series. It's just something where you never really know what to expect going in. So you kind of have to be ready to, you know, scream at the clouds because everybody's dead.
Yeah.
I'm such a downer.
I know.
It's Debbie Downer.
The land of the Walking Dead. It's downer.
As far as range, my character ended up. She actually was different than she appears in the game. She ends up leading them at the end, those who choose to go with her. But her character started off differently. That the one I auditioned for, and I actually recorded almost 3 hours of work that didn't get used. And it was really, again, the writers are amazing. keep going. They're like, oh, we got to make some changes and kept your character, so here's what you're doing now, and stay on top of it and stay grounded in that. And I love Tavia for that. That's actually the energy I feel like she had, was just like, hey, this is what we got to do, folks. You with me or not, And so I love bringing that to her, and the opportunity was awesome.
Just to comment on what you were, the actual question was more like, when you look at this thing, you realized it was not, like a lot of video games, we keep saying other games and all that stuff, and in a lot of other games, your characters are a little more like superhero-y or something, and in this, they flat out told you, we want gritty, we want real, we want people that, sound like they really are this person. So yeah, there is a lot of like realism to it, and I think the comment that you were saying before, like it's almost like an on-camera acting role, because you really do just sort of express the real feelings you would if you were that character. There's no like feigning that you're good to go when you're injured, that kind of thing. You are real. So it's a fantastic process.
Harrison Ford is famously quoted as saying of George Lucas's original Star Wars script, "You can act this, but you can write this, but you can't act it." Okay. The thing that sets we come across a bit of that, by the way, sometimes. just between us, okay, we come across a fair amount of that. But this series set itself apart, and a lot of the Telltale stuff set itself apart for not having anything like that on the page. When you're given an audition, which it's the death scene of your son, it's something actually. It's designed to pull you into that moment and extract the best out of you on a dime. I mean, it's difficult not to react viscerally when you're presented a scenario like that. So the brilliance of the writing is probably a strain that you're going to hear a lot today as we talk about this.
So let's talk a little bit more about death, because we keep saying most other games, but it's true, most other games do not handle character death in such a way that The Walking Dead does. Was that difficult for any of you? Did any of you have to really dig deep into this, really challenge you in any way?
Yeah.
I would say personally, it was not as hard as you think in many ways, because this is the kind of stuff we've all been waiting to actually do, as opposed to like, avenge me. It's really real stuff, and it's like, I always tell people, it's like, if you want to get an idea of the game, watch some like the playthrough of the end of the game, and you see these people bawling. When's the last time you saw people crying at a video game? I cry at video games, but realistically, that's a mark of the amazing writing and amazing storytelling, and that all these are so real and so painful. And I remember playing The Walking Dead for the first time, and I knew a lot of the script, and I played it. I was like, this game is effed up. If you played it, you're like, I cannot believe they're doing this stuff, And it's so the most emotionally wrenching video game of all time.
I recorded my scenes for the last half of the season from Los Angeles in a sound booth by myself with the directors on the phone, and they had told me in episode 1 how Katya would die, but they didn't tell me when, and I was really pulling for episode 5. But they emailed me the script the night before, and God help me, we were all sobbing. I mean, they brought in like an extra box of tissue. I can't even imagine doing a Lee Clementine scene, but it was unlike anything ever.
Nicki, you should talk about the loss of your father.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Kenny? Yeah, that whole deal, recording that scene with the salt lick. I pretty much had to recover my whole drive home. I couldn't even talk to anyone. It's one of the most intense scenes I've ever done in my life in anything. It's pretty incredible to act that out by yourself and not have anyone with you, and you have to create the whole scene. And it's amazing how you just get into it because the writing is so good. Like we've all said a million times. It's just, it's hard not to get lost in it. And that was kind of, I had to recover. It took me a lot to get over that. Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, I've just obviously my process with Lee, that was really horrible. But again, because of the episodic nature, like you didn't, as we're all saying, it wasn't like I had to like go into the session and like, all right, think about the loss of my dog. All right, you know what I mean? Like you, sometimes in acting, you literally have to like think about the most horrible things that have happened in your life that you have to like, you know, to get the emotion, get the tears. But it was just like, I mean, when I walked in for that recording session, everybody was already in the mode. It wasn't like the normal, like, hey guys, let's joke around and, you know, be stupid for like half an hour and then record and then say other stupid things. Like, because that's what the typical recording session is. It's a lot of laughter. It was very somber. Like, I went into the studio and it was just like, we were all already like there and it was like, all right, well, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, let's just do this. And like, you know, thankfully, Dave had actually recorded his lines before me. So I was able to, they played his lines in my headphones. So I did actually kind of get to act with Dave that whole scene. And it was just like, I mean, even talking about it, like it just was so it was really emotional and just like tears and sadness. And it was very real because it was sad. It was very sad to say goodbye to him. We've been through so much as Dave, my friend, and as Lee, the character. So it was crazy. Did you want to say something?
Would the process have been a lot more difficult if you two were actually in the same booth?
That's a good question.
You know, honestly, in general, I think if we all had our way, we would always 100% work with the other actors in the booth. If it worked that way, it would, because it's always, you know, it's more natural to like, you know, vibe off of someone and read with someone. I think we're all kind of used to not doing that at this point, so we've just kind of learned how to. But I think, no, if he was if he would have been in the booth, it would have been, yeah, it would have been like just like
fest.
Snot and tears, and I don't know, we probably would have had to start drinking. I don't know. It was just, it would have been just as effective. If not, I can't say more because I think what happened in that scene was magic. But I think it would have been just as effective, maybe more. But yeah, so it wouldn't have changed anything.
And we never record anything together, by the way.
Yeah.
No characters ever did anything together, as far as I know.
No.
And I think that again, the writing of this game and the acting of this game really speaks to the fact that because we all recorded solo, but then we all met after the process, and this odd created tragedy like made us all friends. It's
yeah.
Because most other video game actors you never meet, you never know, or you could meet them somewhere and be like, oh yeah, we were in that game together. Nice line. These people, we hang out. We're friends because of this experience, which I think is remarkable.
And I do want to get a little bit away from so depressing. So let's talk about your individual characters and death.
Back to the death.
Is anyone playfully bitter about your own character's death? Is there any rivalries? Is there any fun things?
Owen.
I loved my character so much because he's basically like a hyper version of me, and down to the voice is just a little bit higher. That's so me. And so I was like, season 1, you made it. And then when that first script came through, I was like, oh. No, I want to say something like, avenge me. So there was that literally in the booth when I was reading the script and we were getting ready to record, I was like, that's it? I had to speak prepared. I wanted to say something. So I was playfully bitter. Yeah, playfully bitter about it. But as I say, I got a lot of emails, about it, and I just said nothing is guaranteed in the zombie apocalypse.
Did they actually tell you that?
No, that's
Yeah,
It's just the actual paperwork. I think it'd be even more hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's the whole Walking Dead. It's like, when is it coming?
Yeah.
When is it coming? You know, and how is it coming? You know, how bad is it going to be?
How many intestines do you see?
Is it going to be gruesome? Is it going to be stupid as hell? Playfully bitter.
Out of the 5 characters that I voice, all but one of them are dead. And so I have some friends on Twitter that are starting a 1 in 5 survives. We're really hoping Shell from 400 Days makes a comeback somewhere. So 1 in 5 survives. Make it happen.
Thank you. When I was cast as Carly, Sean Bannon, the creative lead on The Walking Dead, he told me that Carly was, I die twice, depending on what your choice is. You could kill me off the first episode, which I hope to God none of you did, but I'm sure there's a couple of you that did. I can see it on your faces. But I knew she was going to die halfway through, permanently through episode 3. But I didn't know how. You know, it's the zombie apocalypse. I just figured, you know, it's probably going to be at the hands of walkers. I didn't know someone was going to plug me in the face.
No right.
It's kind of funny because you have no idea how many like selfies I've taken of me and Nicki where I'm like holding an air gun to her head to get her back for blasting me like that. But and it was kind of funny because when I actually saw the episode, it was more disturbing to me to actually see it happen. And because I remember when Sean told me, I didn't know how she was going to get it until I went in to record episode 3. And I remember when Sean told me, I was like, ooh, that's going to piss some people off. Because I'm sure no one's expecting, you know, it to turn so ugly. But yeah, I think actually seeing it was probably the most disturbing. And yeah, I'm bitter.
Playfully bitter. I can't even believe I said that. I want to get Nicki's take real quick on that whole incident as well before you get to anybody else. Just while it's all fresh in our minds.
I don't know, like, I always have played really cute little characters and squirrels and bunnies. So, I mean, pardon my French, but I got to say fuck a lot. And that was kind of a dream come true for me in a weird way. And,
do that again.
It was intense, like, because I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, and when I went in and did that session, I mean, people hate me, you know, like, people hated Lily. It kind of made me sad a little bit, but I understood why they hated her, but her dad's head got smashed in. With a salt, like, in front of my face, with blood on my face.
I don't blame you anymore.
Yeah, but no, I'm sorry. You just got in the way.
Of the bullet.
Yeah.
You see, she actually wanted Lee, and you know,
Yeah, it was just really intense. But it's fun to play such a dramatic, heavy character like that. So I enjoyed it. It's like I really feel like I got to delve into acting, and it felt good.
And your voice.